So maybe it's just me, but as of late, I have not enjoyed playing on Ravod, especially when spawn killing starts to happen, and at the very least, if it's not happening, the dynamic that the spawns have just is not enjoyable to me. I have seen there are just major issues with the spawns that have been sticking out to me, and I feel like I need to give my feedback here as a way to address it and vent to you why I'm not enjoying playing this map. Most of the time, when we're fighting between the rooftops, I think it's really enjoyable, but the spawns just kill the vibe. So today, in this video, I'm going to explain to you where I see the biggest problems coming from the spawns on this map and how I think that they can be fixed. So firstly, one of the main areas that I take issue with is the ladders on this map. By the nature of these buildings, you are going to need ladders to access the rooftops, or, if you go up to the inside, you kind of take a different kind of path. It's not really a ladder, but if you're coming up on the outside of the building, which most people are going to be doing, you need a ladder. And it's the dynamic with these ladders that really, really makes zero sense to me with the way that they've been set up. And I think it's an area that, if improved, would maybe make getting out of spawn killing and just the flow of the spawns on the map feel much better. I would like to note that yes, I'm using an outdated version of the map. I don't have access to the, updated maps anymore. I left the group that I had access to them in, and I'm back in it. I just don't have the correct roles with the permissions. Shay in the past gave me the permission to be there, so if someone in Stylus is listening and, maybe wants to bump me up back to admin in the SL7 group, that would be splendid. But I'm sure you can understand what I'm going to be talking about. For the most part, the fundamentals of the map are here. So back to ladders, let's start with the Phantom side. So this ladder right here, I'm going to try and be real concise with this for the most part. This ladder right here is probably the main ladder that people are climbing up. And, it's got issues with being exposed if you have an enemy on the sides, but that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue to me is at the top of the ladder here. There is no cover. Well, they put in the illusion of cover with 3 tiny barriers right here, and I don't know what they were thinking, but that does absolutely nothing, because when you pop up this ladder and you have to deal with people already on the roof to your left or to your right, and then people across the building, you are just exposed to so many places that makes it so easy for enemies to attack you with really little risk involved. And so I think some more cover, some more substantial cover, needs to be implemented to kind of help, buff up this place a little bit and make it so that you don't just get absolutely murdered the second you pop up this ladder. Because let me tell you, it is so easy to sit even in just this corner and watch people come across. Or, it's so easy to just toss a grenade across and just ADS and just wait for someone to climb up the ladder from this rooftop. And that's not even considering that you might have a good amount of teammates on this part of the roof, especially if you're pressuring their spawn. So for a Phantom to pop up here and have to deal with potentially so many enemies in different places, and at least in my experience, have to deal with that, it's really annoying. So I propose something like this. This is the same version of the map. I have just implemented some changes, I think. These are the 3 little barriers I'm talking about. And I was thinking, come up this ladder. You've got these barriers right here. Maybe make it a crate if that's more preferable, so that you can at least pick which areas you want to fight from first. So if I pop up here, I can more easily deal with my immediate surroundings and even isolate that even better. And then I can peek out and take on the greater amount of people around the map. So I think that would be nice just to have some more cover there, because these 3 measly barriers, come on, it's not good. And they're wall bangable, and even though these are 2, it at least provides more cover than these things. These are absolutely worthless to me. really, they don't mean that much at all. Not everyone's gun is going to be able to wallbang them, but, if you're using a sniper rifle or something like that, you most definitely can. And then coming back to this ladder also is just abysmal to me. I do not understand this. It's like the same way that the ladders absolutely suck on Mall with how exposed they are and how you can literally from the other spawn see people climbing the ladder on the other team in their spawn. This is literally the same way because, if you've been getting spawn killed on the Phantom side, you know that coming up here, I've done this where I come up here and you can kind of backstab people if they're shooting off of here and alleviate some of that pressure. Except for to your left, what's over here? Oh, it's the ghost spawn area where a lot of ghosts are going to be spawning. And oh, what's this? You have no cover climbing up this ladder? Why? Why, Stylus? Like, whoever, because this map got a revamp. Why, the ladders were as overlooked as they are is just beyond me. So you have to climb this and have no cover? No wonder this is just spawn killing hell because you literally cannot put yourself in positions to relieve spawn killing pressure on yourself because you can just get shot trying to do that. It's so weird to me how exposed this is because the other spawns are literally right over there. So what do I propose? You might have seen this when I was talking about the other one. I just moved this smokestack over here a little bit so that when you're climbing up, there's a tiny bit of a hole, you can kind of see in there, which, can be a tell that there's an enemy coming up. So you're not completely safe, but you at least have some more safety. And then there's, of course, this crate up here and whatnot. So I just like that better. The garage is slightly smaller, but I don't think that most people really care that the garage opening is smaller. And it's just a bit more covered. We've seen this happen on this side over here where there are these smoke pipes, whatever they're called. You've got cover from the other roof and it's great. It makes sense. It actually works. And so I think something like that could be implemented over here as well. And while that does take away some cover from this ladder, it's not like it provided all that much before, considering the areas you're exposed to with it being right here. It doesn't really block off all that much. I suppose you could keep both and just, have another one here, but when there's spawns over there, a smokestack right here it's not blocking much, it's not protecting much. And I don't know, I feel like ladders like this one over here and this one, they're facing the opposite side. They're gonna be more risky, and so they should be more risky. They don't necessarily need the same amount of protection, so I think it's fine to leave them a bit more exposed. And then the last ladder I want to get to is this one. The other two on the map, I don't have issue with this, I don't have issue with that. There's a barrier here, there's barriers there. This one even has the smokestacks for cover, so honestly, I'm fine with that. But this one, this is one of the worst offenders in my opinion, because of the way that the sightline works as well as the map timing. I feel like I've mentioned this in a video before, but when you're a ghost and you spawn over here and you have to run over here and climb up your ladder, well, the timing is such that when you're climbing this ladder, if a phantom is spawned in, they can make it up this ladder because there's spawn points way closer, and they have time to be able to get over to this side of the roof while you're in the middle of climbing the ladder and shoot you while you're completely vulnerable at the beginning of the round. I'm sure you can imagine how that can kickstart spawn killing and really shift the momentum in more of an unfair way, because the ghosts don't even have a chance to really get into the map as much yet. They're still climbing the ladder and establishing map control, and the phantoms have already come up here and just said, haha, I just shoot you while you're vulnerable. It makes no sense to me. I don't like it. I don't think the timing, it's hard to identify if you're not playtesting the map. So, I see that this was maybe overlooked, but timing even aside, there's just no cover here. is just completely exposed. And when getting control of the rooftops is as important as it is, not having that cover to me is just really weird, because if you're a ghost and you're getting spawn killed, you've got people on this roof probably, and then you've got people coming out of the phantom spawn as well. So to have to worry about both those areas is just, it makes it so much harder to get out of getting spawn killed. So I think that establishing some more cover would be nice. So to address that, I threw in another ladder. I was tempted, I think, to put this smokestack, which I color-coded, over here, but it just didn't really fit with the way the garages were, so I felt like it made more sense to just create a different ladder entirely and have that cover here. And, I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory, what it does and how it protects you. If you want to go up this ladder still, you totally can, but this just, gives you a bit more cover coming up. You probably might be able to see people, but with the way the smokestack is in the trees, that might kind of block it a bit. So, it's just a little bit extra safety, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, especially when we know how important it is to control the rooftops, and, it just helps get out of spawn killing a little bit. So that's my issue aside with the ladders. The next issue, kind of jumping off of this with the way the sightline works, is just really, really, really weird to me that, the Phantom's rooftop can so easily see into the ghost spawn. You can just sit up on this rooftop and shoot into their spawn, and we already know from other maps, and, this map as well, that there's a common theme that being up on elevation is the advantageous point. So to be able to do that and be able to head glitch, and not even just head glitch, just have the advantageous position while shooting into someone's spawn, that makes it very conducive to spawn killing. So it's just weird to me that that's a thing. And I can understand, maybe we don't want to blow the whole map up and start messing with the positions of the buildings. So I have a few, proposed changes that could work here. So, one would just be shifting the building entirely. One would be cutting off part of the building to, kind of make it similar to the way that the ghost building is, or, maybe we extend the ghost building a little bit, or we do something more with the spawns. So to elaborate on that last point, what I like about the revamp that happened a few years ago was the establishment of an indoor path up. However, if you're getting spawn killed over here, having an extra access point in the inside of the building really isn't that meaningful. If I can't even get over there in order to get up through the building, it's not really very helpful that that's over there. So one way that I think accessibility could be increased is we look towards the underground system of the map. So I think that by, maybe we've got this underground system here, if we maybe expand it a bit and send it towards this side of the map so that it connects over here maybe in the ghost spawn, and maybe doing something similar on the phantom spawn, so that, if you're getting spawn killed from the rooftop, don't worry about it, just pop underground, emerge in the building, and then take the inside route up. I don't think that this would necessarily cause too much issue. I think maybe a foreseeable issue with this could be, what if the underground part gets really overrun? What if enemies abuse it? I think those are valid concerns, but we have evidence of underground portions of other maps that, function in a way that is supportive to the map, and it's not a main combat area. So maps of note that come to mind are Desert Storm and Ruins. I really like the way that the Ruins underground system is, because it connects through the spawns and it connects you to other centralized points of the map. And while, sure, enemies can definitely use that to walk into your spawn without, much risk and without the possibility of encountering many enemies. It's not something that happens very often. Like, how often are you really in the underground part of Desert Storm? How often are you really in the underground part of Ruins? We see a trend with players where they really want to go up, and so going underground is like based off of what trends players do. Going underground is not something that they're going to be doing all that often. So with these other maps is evidence that having an extended underground portion that is very, very accessible to spawns and other parts of the map alike, it's not going to completely shift the way that the map is played. It's just going to aid in accessibility. So I think that if we don't want to change up the way the big buildings are, which I think is completely valid not to want to do, having a more established underground portion makes the most sense as the next thing to do to me, as well as protecting the ladders, of course, like I've talked about. But yeah, I just think, why not? Because like I said, I think it's great that we have accessibility from the inside of the building out. But it doesn't mean anything if you can't access it in the first place because you spawn in and you've got people shooting you from the rooftops and you're getting showered with grenades and people are rushing your spawn and it's just a spawn killing mess. So maybe having an underground portion at least gives you a chance to try and reclaim some map control and try and swing that momentum back in your favor by pulling off a bit of a flank, and it's not going to be used so much that enemies are abusing it. Maybe someone decides, like, the only time enemies are really going to be going through there is if they, deliberately decide they want to flank that way, and if enemies keep doing it and they keep punishing players for not being aware, I feel like most players, if they keep having a problem player that comes through the underground and flank them, they're going to catch on to that and counter it. So, I think it's like a dynamic, it's like a seesaw, it works out itself. Another thing I thought would maybe be interesting to test out, and is definitely more experimental, and I can't build very well, so excuse how awful this looks. It's just like a concept kind of thing. I can't build maps, y'all, so please go easy on me, okay? I think it would be interesting to play around more with the pipelines on the map, because I don't really like to go on them. It's super exposed. People just like to sit up here and go prone and snipe. It's beyond me why they do that. But it can also serve as a different means of navigation around the map. You can walk around here, you can access the roof in a different way. Of course, you can walk across them. So I thought, what if we expanded the amount of pipeline that is around the map? And then I thought, what if we, maybe made an access point with the pipeline, as though, due to wartime antics, it got bombed, and so now there is pipeline that has fallen across the building, and it's not so steep that players can't walk up it, so it's another access point in the map. What if we maybe tried that? Again, this is experimental, but I think, what if we just played around with that? It might help with the spawns a little bit, so, with the ghost side, their building is not as large, and so they don't have the same prowess that the phantoms have. Being able to have this elevated position is really dominant. So maybe just having a little bit of a counterbalance to that with a pipeline like this could maybe, help to establish some more power from this part of the map and not have it be so limited for the ghosts. And even if we don't have an access point, I don't see how having a pipe just going across the back here necessarily changes much. The access point is the most experimental part to me, but just having it go around the back of the map like this, I think would maybe be neat to play around with. So my building isn't very good. I'm sure an actual map maker could do something much better with this than me. So someone should probably do that, because look how messy this is. Look at that. I can't build. I can't do any of that. So I just think, let's play around with Ravod a bit, because chances are people aren't going to be supportive of just completely changing up the way the layout is and messing with that. I think for the most part, people are quite satisfied with the way the map is, but like I've expressed in this video, the spawns really need some work, and so, there are some things like just due to the way the map is by nature. Like, we're probably always going to have to deal with ladders just being a sticking point, but we can at least improve upon them enough that they're not as bad. Spawn killing is always going to be a little bit atrocious with the way the buildings are and the altitude difference, but we can help to safeguard things a little bit more. So I think that some of these quality of life improvements kind of need to happen. So that's just, the biggest issues I see with the spawns on the map so far has to be the ladders and the dynamic they have, as well as the sight lines and the role that they play with the spawns. And yeah, so that's just my kind of 2 cents on things. I'd be curious to get your thoughts as well, because I haven't enjoyed playing this map with the way the spawns are. Maybe I'm the only one, but do you like these changes? Do you think something else could be done? Is there a different area that you think the map falls short in? Be sure to let me know, and be sure to let me know what you think of what I have proposed here, as maybe if my proposals are not as good, at least we maybe have identified the issues so that we can come up with something else. So yeah, just be sure to let me know what you think. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next